Hi, I'm Sharon, and I'm a PTE trainer here at Benchmark Education Solutions. Thank you for joining me for this video today. We're going to talk more about summarized written text. I'll give you an example of this question type, tell you more about how it's scored, and provide you with some important tips that you'll find very useful as you get ready to answer these questions. Let's get started with some useful information. This is the first of two tasks in the writing section. You will see either 2 or 3 of these questions on test day, and you'll be given 10 minutes per question. This means that you'll have 10 minutes for the entire question, including both reading and writing. Now, let's say that you finish this question in 7 minutes. This doesn't mean that you have 3 extra minutes to use for the next question. So, you should spend the entire 10 minutes on this question. For these questions, you will first need to read a text that is around 300 words long. The text could be set up in a few ways. It might be one long paragraph, or it might be divided into 2 or 3 paragraphs. After reading it, you'll need to write a 1-sentence summary of the text. Technically, you must do this in 5 to 75 words, but we would suggest 30 to 40 words. This number of words is realistic and a good goal for a great sentence. Here's a suggested breakdown of your time. You could spend anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes reading the text. During this time, you should work on understanding the main idea and keywords, which is something we'll talk about more in our in-depth lesson. Then, you could spend around 5 to 6 minutes writing and revising your sentence. It's normal to write something and then rewrite or rearrange your sentence. And last, you could spend around 1 or 2 minutes checking your work for any errors, which is a very important step to help you score well. This time guideline is a range, and you probably know your own strong and weak areas. So for example, you may want to spend less time reading and more time writing, or vice versa. Now let's take a look at how this question is scored. This question features integrated scoring because it tests both your reading and writing skills. Also, you'll receive partial credit depending on how you answer. The scoring is based on content, form, grammar, and vocabulary. Your content is scored on a scale of 0 to 2 and depends on what you write and whether or not it is accurate and relevant based on the text. Your form is scored on a scale from 0 to 1, and it looks at the number of words you've written. Next, your grammar is scored on a scale of 0 to 2 and looks at how accurate your grammar is. And last, your vocabulary reflects your word choice and is scored on a scale of 0 to 2. As you can see, the top score you could receive for a perfect answer is 7, and the lowest score is 0. Basically, a good summary would include all of the main ideas and relevant points, be anywhere from 5 to 75 words, and have great grammar and appropriate word choice. Let's look at each of these areas a little more in depth. We'll start with content. Basically, make sure you're including all the main ideas and relevant points of the text in your 1-sentence summary. A score of 2 means that you've provided a good summary of the text and all relevant aspects are mentioned. A score of 1 means that you've provided a fair summary of the text, but you missed 1 or 2 of the aspects. A score of 0 means that you've omitted or misrepresented the main aspects of the text. So as you can see, there are varying levels of the content score. In our in-depth lesson, we talk about how to find the key elements of your text and how to connect them together when you write your sentence. Next up is form, which is very simple since it just looks at the number of words you've written. A score of 1 means that the answer is written in one single complete sentence. So don't write more than 1 sentence. A score of 0 means that your answer is either not written in one single complete sentence or that it contains fewer than 5 or more than 75 words. Also, if your summary is written in all capital letters, you would get a score of 0 in form. Make sure to remember these key details. The next part of the scoring looks at the accuracy of your grammar. Basically, a score of 2 means that your answer has correct grammatical structure. A score of 1 means that your answer contains grammatical errors but doesn't hinder communication. That means that your answer still makes sense to the reader even if it isn't completely grammatically accurate. A score of 0 means that your answer has defective grammatical structure, which could hinder communication. The last part of your score looks at your vocabulary or your choice of words. A score of 2 means that your answer has an appropriate word choice, and a score of 1 means that your answer contains lexical errors but with no hindrance to communication. So your answer would still make sense to the reader even though the vocabulary isn't perfect. Finally, a score of 0 means that your answer has defective word choice, which could hinder communicating your idea. These scoring details are really important because just a few tiny errors could cost you points. Now, before we look at our example, I just want to go over some important reading and writing tools to use when you answer these questions. We'll go over them in more detail in our in-depth lesson. First, read the text and look for key words. Remember, you're not reading for pleasure with these questions. You need to understand the key words so that you can write the main ideas in your sentence. You should also understand sentence clauses and connectives so that you can write a top-notch sentence. This means that your sentence is complete with a subject, verb, and object, among other things. Connecting ideas will make it easier for you to include all of the main ideas and relevant points. And be sure to spend some time planning your ideas and revising your work. Don't expect to write the perfect sentence after only a few seconds. Even though you might think that writing one sentence is easy, it takes time and practice to perfect the skill, since you need to include all the relevant points. Remember, even professional writers spend a lot of time revising. Okay, let's look at our example now. Here's your text. You'll see this text for the next 10 minutes, so you can read it, look for the keywords, and then write your one-sentence summary. I'll give you a 30-second countdown timer when your time is almost up. And after that, we'll look at the keywords and a sample answer together. Good luck. Your time starts now. Before we get into the sample answer, I want to show you the text with some of the keywords highlighted in yellow. If you noted different keywords, that's fine, but just make sure you understood the main ideas of this text. Basically, the main idea was that virtual reality simulations can help treat severe paranoia. Research at Oxford University helped show this, even though the project was small and not that extensive. This is the main idea. There were a lot of details here, like what was done with the project and a lot of supporting points given in quotes by Professor Daniel Freeman. Now let's look at our sample answer. A small research study led by Professor Daniel Freeman at Oxford University found that virtual reality tools could help patients suffering from severe paranoia by teaching them to lower their defenses and relearn how to feel safe in social situations. In total, this sentence is 40 words, which is definitely within the scoring guidelines. Plus, it's a good number of words for a solid sentence that shows the main ideas. Notice how not all of the things said by Professor Daniel Freeman are included in the answer, since they were extra details. Only the main ideas are included. Now, before we wrap up our video today, let's go over these important tips to remember. The first thing to do is to make sure you understand the text by reading it for its keywords and the main ideas. Don't just start writing immediately. Then, take time to plan and revise while you're writing. You're probably not going to come up with the perfect sentence right away. This takes time. Don't write in all capital letters or else you will lose points. Make sure that only the first letter of your sentence is capitalized, as well as any names or important titles. Don't focus on minor details in your answer. That will take up too many words. And also, make sure to spend the entire 10 minutes on your question. If you're done too early, you may not have understood all of the main ideas and relevant points. It won't help you get more time on something else if you spend less time on this question, so use the entire 10 minutes. As with the example from earlier, strive for 30 to 40 words. This is typically a good length for a sentence. And last, always check for errors in spelling, word choice, and grammar. Thanks for joining me for this overview video today. Now I hope you have a better idea of what to expect when you're faced with a summarized written text question. If you'd like to practice more PTE questions and learn more about the exam, check out our website at edubenchmark.com. You'll find more practice questions and lots of practical information about the PTE exam. You should also watch our complete in-depth lesson on summarized written text with full examples and more strategy. And also watch our helpful do's and don'ts video for this question type. All the links are in the description below. And when it's time for you to practice PTE speaking questions, you should definitely take our PTE speaking mock test. I'm glad you joined me today, and I hope to see you in the next video.